你好, welcome back to Wudang Academy. We are a school of the Wudang Sanfeng Pai, promoting Taoist culture, philosophy, and martial art practice. I'm the translator at the school. In this series of videos, we would like to introduce to you some cultural information, starting from who is who in Chinese. The first one is the teacher, the 师父. Your direct master or the direct teacher of the school is addressed as 师父. 师父. The teacher of your teacher, the grandmaster, is addressed 师爷. 师爷. There are more senior students in the school. The male senior students are called 师兄. 师兄. 兄 means elder brother. The female senior students, 师姐. 师姐. 姐 means elder sister. The students that come after you, the male junior students, 师弟. 师弟. 弟, as you might have guessed, means younger brother. The female junior students, 师妹. 师妹. Mei means younger sister. We have written down the names, or let's say the titles, in the text below. And you can copy them, go to Google Translate, and listen to them. The master is one generation above the students. Therefore, the grandmaster is two generations above the students. The order is defined by the teaching and learning relationship, not the actual age. And therefore, in the teaching and learning relationship, you might have a different generation order than from other standards. The more senior people can address the more junior by name. During class, the teacher must be addressed by the title, 师父. And in the school, no one should address the teacher ever by name. Even if you already knew the teacher before. That means before you started to study with the 师父. But in the school, it is always 师父. It's a very common misunderstanding in Western society. In the school, you sometimes hear calling 师父 by name, but no. The 师父 is always 师父. Now, in modern Western society, it could be that you talk to your teacher, you call them by the name. You talk to a professor, you call them by the name. But in Asian tradition, this would be disrespectful. You have to say 师父. Similarly, if you go to a Japanese school, you might be calling sensei. And this has to be strictly respected. So, your master, 师父, what does it mean? In Chinese, 师 means to learn. As a noun, it can mean the teacher. As the verb, it can be to learn from someone or something. 父 means father. So you see the title includes the purpose, the teaching, and the relationship, the father. So who is a 师父? A 师父 is someone who teaches you a tradition, a skill, or knowledge. The name 父 implies a generation difference because the person is passing down a tradition or a skill to you. And therefore, you're basically the children of the teacher regarding this lineage, and therefore the title 师父. Also, it is said as the father because in the ancient times, it is a lot more common for the teacher to be male than female. This is only for historical reasons. The name has been fixed, so if your 师父 is a lady, you still call the teacher 师傅. The meaning is the same. Now, for people who understand Chinese, you might notice there are two different 师傅. They are written differently. The one is the 师傅 you call as the father in the study. The other one is the 师傅 you might call, for example, a chef in the kitchen, or a plumber when you invite someone to fix your household. This 师傅 refers to the profession. So if you're calling someone with a professional skill, you call it 师傅. But that doesn't mean you're learning from this person. This person is not your teacher. So you call the master who is directly teaching you 师傅, the father of the study. For a teacher from another school, you call 师傅, as you would call a professional. We will also introduce to you some conventions, how to do things. And some of the contents are pretty obvious, common sense. And some of them are very specific to Asian culture, or some of them might just be specific to our school. So how do we greet people? The conventional Chinese greeting is called the 拱手礼. Hands together in front of chest. Extend arms out. Right hand hold fist, left hand holding the right hand. So if you see the 师傅, you go forward and say, 师傅好. You can copy to Google Translate and repeat. If the grandmaster is visiting, when you see him, you say, 师爷好. So when more than one teacher will show up together, greet the most senior one. The most senior student at the venue leads the greeting, and the rest will follow in unison. When 师爷 shows up at the venue when 师傅 is already there, then the 师傅 will lead the class in the greeting. So 师傅 says, 师傅好. And the rest of the students will say, 师爷好, together. You have to note the title is different, so don't just copy what you hear. And when a student arrives at the venue when the teacher is already present, the student goes forward and when seeing the teacher, greet the teacher individually. So each student would do it when they arrive. When more than one teacher is present, in general, first greet the most senior one. But if you don't see him or her, greet the first teacher you see. When saluting the teacher, go, hold the hand out. With this gesture, wait for the response. Drop the hands after the teacher has responded. But if the 师傅 is occupied, you show the salute, pay respect. Don't wait for the response, and you just continue to do what you need to do. When we finish class, the 师傅 would announce 下课, which means off class. The students reply with salute, with this hand gesture, and speak in unison. 师傅辛苦了. 辛苦了 means we appreciate the effort given. So similarly, if it was the grandmaster leading the class, you say 师爷辛苦了. If a senior student is leading the class, you say 师兄辛苦了 or 师姐辛苦了. Now we have introduced how to do the greeting. Next, we move on to courtesy in interacting with a teacher. Now, bear in mind, some of the information will be very common in Asian culture, but some might be very specific to our school. So if you are studying in another school, you might need to ask what is appropriate. First is the concept that you interact with full attention. This is demonstrated when you receive or give an object to the teacher. I have something to give to the Shifu. I present both hands. This shows I have full commitment to this interaction. I'm not doing something else in parallel. By the same concept, when you talk to a Shifu, you're talking to the Shifu. I shouldn't be talking on the phone or in parallel talking to someone else, looking at other places. Secondly, do not refuse in the learning process. When we are asked to demonstrate something or try something, do not be shy or afraid and refuse to get involved in the learning. That is considered very rude. And by doing so, you're turning down the learning opportunity. Doing something wrong is all right. You'll be told to correct it. But refusing to try is not okay. Next, positioning. How do you position yourself relative to the teacher? During class, in general, we stand in front of the teacher. Sit down or relax only when you are told. When walking with a teacher, you are on the right-hand side of the teacher and slightly behind. If you are the host of the place or you're leading the direction for where we are going, then this is not required. When standing with a teacher facing other people, you're on the right-hand side of the teacher and maybe slightly behind unless required otherwise. In an interactive demonstration or a dynamic situation, this does not need to apply. For taking seats, when we sit down, the most senior people would take the seat first. You will stand in front of the Shifu until you're invited to sit down. And the most senior people or person would enter the door first when you go into a building or go out from the building. But you can go ahead and go open the door for the Shifu. There is the concept of waiting, as I already explained. So, similarly, when a meal starts, the most senior person is served first. Students start eating. That includes picking up the chopsticks or other tableware, only when the teacher has started, unless you're told otherwise. So at our school, for example, very often tea gets prepared. Now the tea should be first served to Shifu. It doesn't work if now it's a break time and students rush to get their own drink. First, a cup of tea is presented to Shifu. In such kind of formality, we show respect to the teacher. And why is this important? In the Wudang Sanfeng Pai, we study the Chinese Taoist tradition, and so we follow, even in Western countries or other places, the same Chinese conventions. And those formalities define for us the connection and interaction between people. Through these ways, we demonstrate respect for each other. And that's how the connection within the school is maintained. And it is important to understand and maintain the structure. If we do not appreciate and protect the tradition, in 10, 20 years, no one will understand it, no one will do it. But having the conventions is an integral part to holding the tradition together. Through examples like the simple things, presenting tea, opening door, greeting the Shifu is showing visual examples of respect and ideas. And people learn from these examples. They understand the spirit, the ideals of the tradition, and they learn to respect the teaching and to appreciate the culture. Well, thank you for watching. We might follow later on with some Chinese language information.